agency first, and then now I just joined Keller Williams 6 months in July, and I have learned more in the last month and a half than I did in 6 months. So I'm excited to be here. The energy with everybody is awesome, and I look forward to working with all of you.
That's great. That's awesome. And thank you for being here. We have a little trend going with people coming from the medical field. So that's awesome. I don't know what's happening in the medical field, but no, I'm just teasing. If let me see here. I'm just seeing a direct message here. 1 second. If one recommendation with the name, if you hover over the picture of yourself and the three little dots, you can rename yourself. And what may be good for the referral aspect is to put your name, comma, where you're from. So the location of your market center. Okay. So you can just do your first name if you want, first and last name. It's good just to put where you're from, because if you put more than that, it's hard to see. So feel free, everybody, you can go ahead and do that at will. Let's see, Bethany, why don't you go next?
Good morning. I am in Maine, and I am in about an hour and a half north of the Portland Market Center. A year ago, I switched careers after 17 years in the cosmetology industry. So I just rolled over into my 1 year mark in August. And I joined Keller Williams. I decided to change careers and immediately joined the Ignite. So this is my second time through. And so I'm just kind of looking forward to what that might look like after having been in the career for a year.
That's great. That's great. Well, welcome. And so you may be the furthest north today, which is great.
I might be.
That's awesome. Anybody further north? So no. Okay. Excellent. Who do we have next? All right. Looks like Mallory, you want to go next?
Yes. Can you hear me? All right. Perfect. My name's Mallory. I'm brand new. I just got my license in July. Obviously signed with Keller Williams. I was in human resources, went to college. I was administering disability benefits to a massive hospital, working from home this past year, and I'm not an introvert, so it was pretty tough for a while. And turned out any positions in my field were all going to be work from home forever. So tough year for the medical industry and for the HR folks, putting everybody out on sick leave. So I've always enjoyed real estate, and I've always been a resource to anybody I know or come across. So I figured this was going to be a good fit for me. Here I am.
Great. Well, that's fantastic. Excellent. Thank you for sharing so much. All right. Just for the sake of time, because I see lots of people are volunteering, I appreciate that so much. What I'd like everybody to do is, why don't we, unless anybody has anything urgent, let's lower our hands, and in the chat, let's put in a sentence or a statement, so to speak, of what you would like to get out of today. Because I have this huge instructor's facilitator guide that I can go through and have it nearly memorized, and there we can go ad nauseum through the material. But I'd really like to see what is important to you individually. Like, what is something that you would find to be gripping today, even, dare I say, you're like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Oh my gosh, we have someone from Houston. This is awesome. Okay, how to stay organized in time block. That's great. How to prospect. Okay. I'm trying to think what I know in Portuguese. Shoot. Trying to think what I know in Portuguese. I'll have to think about that. More confidence. Okay. So something that's kind of interesting about the confidence one is, as we'll go through the material today, we do want to create a level of competence, which will help generate confidence, right? Like the more that you feel like you can do something, the more that you feel like you understand something, the more confidence you're going to have, you're going to exude that, and that could come out as charisma or whatnot, and convincing people to work with you or to trust you or believe in you, what you're doing. And so that's a huge one. I love that. That is good. Excellent. Just looking at the different chats here. All right, so sorry. I don't know if I have ADHD or if I just really like reading the chat, but what we're going to go through today is the initial part of Ignite. And you guys, did everybody get a chance to attend? Was it yesterday's session, or did some of you have an opportunity? I'm seeing some heads nod. Great. So really, the purpose of Ignite is, and today's session is going to be to get your business in motion. And there are times where we can think that the fundamentals are just for new people. The fundamentals are just for people that don't know what they're doing or aren't doing a lot of business. But ultimately, I would say that this is some of the most important material that we could go over. And not just Ignite in general and participating in Ignite, but really the lead generation aspect. Because if you think about it, every single business out there has to do some form of lead generation. You know, I will admit to you, I had a weak moment today. I didn't make breakfast at home because my kids were going crazy, and I went to McDonald's. I don't usually like to make that choice, but I went to McDonald's. Not shaming anybody that does, because I just did it. But I went, and in front of me was a big cargo van, and it had a wrap on it for a handyman service. And on the back, it said all the different things that they do. And one of them was gutters. And I need, at my home, to put new gutters on our house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, here, this is a form of lead generation for this business, right? It's their marketing. They're not calling me to ask if they can install gutters. They're just promoting the service. And sure enough, I called them and set an appointment, and they're coming out to install gutters, which is really cool. You know, ultimately what that was a piece of marketing. And we can think that marketing is the only way to gain business. And so we think like, oh, I have to spend money. I have to have a big budget, all these things. But today we're going to talk about a couple different aspects of lead generation when it comes to things like marketing and prospecting. Ultimately, what that's going to do is expand your business. And we're going to talk about a lot of different avenues, but ultimately what that's going to come down to is we're in a lead generation business. Okay. Now I'm going to share my screen, and bear with me here for a second, because I just want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly from Google. So let's see if we can do this here. View, present. Move this over here. Let's see if I do this right. Oh, let's go all the way back. So you guys can see the slides. Yes, a little thumbs up, maybe. Yeah, a little head nod. We can see the slides. Perfect. Ignite skills to spark a great career. So this is session 2. Lead generation is the core of your business. So this is what successful agents do every day. So we're talking about growing business and running business. Under the growing business, we have lead generate for buyers and sellers, make seller listing presentations to get listings, make buyer presentations to get listings, or get buyer agreements, we would say, and preview real estate. So that's growing your business. Running your business really comes down to marketing your listings, showing your buyers houses, negotiating contracts, transaction management, and so on. Today, we're going to focus on what would really be considered a core attribute, or what's often called in business theories a lead measure, and that's actually lead generate for buyers and sellers. Now, I think of this is kind of an oversimplification, but like, if you can do this well, if we can capture enough buyer and seller leads, your business can be anything you want it to be. So I just want you to understand from the onset. If you are someone that is looking to reinvigorate your business because maybe it's gone stale a little bit, or you are someone that is just starting out, the real secret to all of this is ultimately going to be filling your pipeline with buyer and seller leads. We have enough of those. We can do anything. So let's talk about the lead generation model. The lead generation model is going to come down to understanding the big picture. Now, this is a little diagram. If you've been a part of Keller Williams for 5 minutes, you know that we have a lot of diagrams, we have a lot of acronyms, all different types of things. And really, the goal of today's session is to understand the lead generation model and how we can leverage that to grow our businesses. Because ultimately, if we kill it with lead gen, we understand the model, we execute on it, we'll be able to get the business we want, we'll be able to make profit and live the lives that we want to live. Does that sound like a plan? It sounds like a good thing. So at the top, we're really imagining this as a solo agent. If you happen to be part of a team, this will still be relevant to you, but we just want to make sure that everyone understands this is relevant from the get-go. So I talked about the idea of prospecting and marketing. If you look at the top of the funnel here, we're saying like, hey, all of our activities, whether you're that van at McDonald's with the sign on the side that says we do gutters, or you're out calling people or engaging with people actively, we really want to fill the sales funnel. And that's what this is here. It's saying like, hey, we're doing these activities, it's getting captured in here. And really people are falling into 2 categories, leads and contacts. Contacts would be people you already know. Leads would be people that you don't have relationships with. So you see under here in gray, it says interactive and value-based touch programs. And then this is one-way offer-based touch programs. So if you think about that as one-way means it's not two-way. They're not having communication back with you. You're just presenting your value proposition. Interactive is really, hey, John Doe, this is Jesse Davies with Keller Williams Real Estate. Just want to engage with you and let you know about the new listings we have coming to the market. Do you know anybody that would be interested in buying this home, for example? Ultimately, once we've connected with these people, so we've captured, we're connected, we're going to cultivate. So we're going to talk about these in a little bit more detail. Once we get to cultivate, as everybody goes into cultivate, it's interactive and action-based touch programs. So we want to engage with people at a high level and ultimately nurturing them and eventually qualifying them to potentially either be a buyer or seller or refer a buyer or seller. And then it comes down to here, hey, we get an appointment, they're a client, they finally go under contract and close, and then they go back into contacts. So it's pretty simple from that standpoint. We're going to go past this here. So when it comes to actually lead generating, I'd like someone to raise their hand, come off mute, and let me know what is a definition of lead generation in your mind. Like when you think of lead generation or you hear other people talk about lead generation, what picture comes into your mind? Because we all have an idea.
You're out hunting for more prospective clients that could potentially bring you more business.
That's great, Joel. Yeah. So hunting for clients. I like that he even has that picture of hunting in his mind. Like I didn't necessarily think of hunting, but it's like, yeah, he's on the search there. Excellent. All right. Yep. Go ahead.
I say continuously filling your pipeline, getting out
Yep.
there, meeting new people, staying in contact with the ones that if it's family, friends, or previous clients. It's just continuously being on the outlook and staying connected.
Yeah. Staying connected. That's a great word, Tracy. And I think we as people love to overcomplicate things because we think if we overcomplicate it, that can that can increase the idea of value in our mind or someone else's mind, right? We're like, oh, it's really complicated and it's difficult. That means it's more valuable. Not necessarily, but I think if we keep it simple, like both Joel and Tracy said, is the idea of we're out seeking business and we're maintaining a pipeline ultimately. So, lead generation overall, we're going to say is the practice in which you seek out and establish relationships with people that need to buy or sell in our industry. In other industries, it could be a little bit different, but for us, we're going to stick with that description there. So we had a video that we were going to watch, but we're having a little bit of tech issues today, so we're going to move past that. Unless somebody else happens to have the video. Anybody? Anne? No, I'm just teasing. All right. So let's talk about the idea of capturing opportunities or capturing leads or contacts. Now, this is going to look different for everybody, and I want everybody to take a moment. You could close your eyes if you want. You can breathe. You can take a sigh of relief and say, it's not all about cold calling. I just want to say that up front. That's not the idea. When we're talking about capturing information and potential leads, this can take a huge variety of different. There can be a ton of different ways and modalities and mechanisms in which we do this. Now, I will tell you, early on in my career, I didn't have a very big database, so I cold called. That's what I did. And I've made to date over 250,000 cold calls to either buyers or sellers of real estate. That is not something that I expect the average person to do or the average agent. It's just, honestly, like if I were to go back and teach myself again and listen to my coaches from the beginning, I would have done it a little bit differently, been a little bit more efficient and effective. But that was just the journey that I took. Now, we're talking about the idea of prospecting and marketing. Now, let me check to see which page this is on. See if I should skip ahead here. Actually, let me do this. There we go. So we want to be prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Now, Keller Williams loves its triangles, so we have another triangle here. We want to think about this from the idea of a foundation. We have more effort put into prospecting. So be prospecting based. There's a base of prospecting, and marketing enhanced, and marketing sits on top of prospecting. So when we do things like marketing, this would be money intensive, it's passive, and it has long-term results. This could be like a billboard, this could be a mailer, this could be a Facebook ad. But if you notice, all those things cost money, right? Now, the idea of being prospecting based is it's time sensitive, proactive, and can give you immediate results. Now, this is usually going to be low cost, high effectiveness, and there's going to be a variety of activities that you can do for this. And I want to inspire you guys today with things that we can do to actually prospect and not worry about all the marketing. Because the marketing, there's so many different options, guys. Like we could go all day long about all the different options to go into marketing. But I'd like us to think, and maybe you can put in the chat, what is a method of prospecting that you think would be effective? So I'll put in here cold calling a neighborhood. We have FSBOs, Facebook ads. What do you guys think? Home buyer seminars, it's great. Social media posts. Yeah, reaching out to your sphere of influence, that's great. Any other ideas that come up? How would we interact with people and get immediate results? YouTube videos, community service. So flyers, open houses, yep, expireds. I haven't seen anybody repeat anything. I don't think. Our social media has been reposted a couple times. Okay, this is great. So if you'll notice, like I've heard the idea said one time, like, hey, if you get together 20 real estate agents and ask them about their ideas for prospecting, they'll give you 20 different answers, right? It's like 20 people, we get 20 different answers, or 20 people, we have 40 different answers. Ultimately, I'm going to break the Keller Williams mold here a little bit, is I want you to feel empowered and excited about your lead gen. Okay. I've done many what are called bold 100s. I have a whole binder full of all of them. And what a bold 100 is when you contact or reach out to 100 people and have 100 two-way conversations about real estate in a single day. So I have a binder that's about this thick with different sheets of all my bold 100s. And I look at that and it gives me anxiety still. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I talked to all those people about real estate, and it still stresses me out. Now, there are methods that I have been implementing over the past few years as an agent that has enabled me to sell more real estate, spend less time prospecting, make more money, and ultimately, along with less time prospecting, is working less and or having a better work-life counterbalance, as we would say. So now that you guys have said what we think the right answer should be, now I want you to put into the chat, what do you want the answer to be? Does that make sense? Like if you could get leads for buyers and sellers of real estate in a particular way, how would you want to do that? I'm going to put in one of mine here. Referrals, yeah. Social media posts, okay. Face-to-face, you want people to come to you, okay. This is great. Let's get a couple more in there. Like, what do you think? How would you want to do this? Referrals, people want to talk to you, okay. Get out there and mingle. Yeah, there we go. That I imagine Cynthia's probably an extrovert. Have people come in. Yep. Okay. So we're gonna burst the lead generation bubble here. You can lead generate in a way that actually excites you, invigorates you, encourages you, and yields really good results. So let's talk about that. Let's go. I'm going to go to the next slide here, and we're going to talk about the database. Now, when we talk about the database, I want you to think of something as your lead generation activities, which I'm going to get back to. I just wanted to tease you with the exciting aspect there of it being something that you want to do is whatever that activity is, does it fill the database and enable you to communicate with it effectively? Because there are 4 laws of the database, according to Gary Keller. Does anybody know what those are? Feel free to raise your hand or come off mute. And if you know any of the laws of the database, they don't have to be in order. If you just know one of them, feel free to come off mute and say one of them or all of them. Okay, I'll give you the first one. So the first law of the database is you have to build it. Okay. Now, that's a value proposition of Keller Williams, is that we really already have one built for you called Command. Whether you love it or not, it's there for you. Okay. It's available. People talk all the time, like, what's the best CRM? And you're going to see some people be really snarky and say the one that you use. I would encourage you to take advantage of Command. It will continue to get better. It will continue to improve. That's the expectation. Is it going to be the end all be all? I don't know. I don't have that answer. But you want to have some type of database. Even if you were using a shoebox with 3x5 cards, have something. Okay. So this is the first law of the database. The second law of the database. Does anybody want to guess what that is, or anybody know?
I would say health score, but I'm probably wrong.
So you said health score?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're going to have the information in there, make sure you have everything, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so that, that's okay. That's totally okay that you don't know the laws. That's fine. That is certainly an aspect of the second law of the database, which is going to be feed it. So you have build it, then feed it. Now, when you feed it, exactly what Cynthia said is you do want to make sure that you have complete information. What is complete information? Name, address, phone number, email. Do you need their birthday? No. Do you need their anniversary? No. Or do you have to have it? No. Can you have it? Yes. Is it beneficial? Sure, it can be. But don't feel like if you don't have their birthday, that it's an incomplete contact. Name, email, address, phone number. Boom. Exactly. So yeah, you want to have you want to feed your database with healthy things. So we have build it, feed it. After we feed it, after we put people into the database, what do you think comes next naturally? We're going to call it the third law of the database. Well, what comes naturally next? Like if you have all the people, what do you do next?
Grow it.
Nurture it.
Well, okay. I like grow it and I like nurture it. I think grow it would be under the idea of feed it, like you're putting names in it, right? Nurture it. What's another word for nurture? Like how do you nurture something? in a relationship.
About
What was that?
communicate with it.
Oh, there we go. All right, we got an awesome answer coming from Cape Cod. So yes, we want to communicate with it in a systematic way. So that's important. Communicate with it and be systematic about it. Okay, so I love your answers because I think we're all tracking here. So we have build it, feed it, get the information in there, and then communicate with it in a systematic way. How do we do that? Well, we use Command. We have smart plans in there. You can create your own, you can buy them, you can get them from other people, you can do all different types of things. We can put people on smart plans. Now, I'll get back to the communicating with it systematically in a way that works for you, because that I think is the biggest struggle for us as agents, is communicating systematically. And we're going to spend some quality time on that, because you can be kind of, dependent on Command and not so good at putting people in and feeding your database. But if you are good at communicating with it, you will literally be unstoppable. So we're going to spend some good time on that. Now let's just wrap it up. And what would be, if we communicate with it, what is the end result? What would be the last thing? What comes to your mind?
Convert
Follow up
them
on
to
that.
sales.
Oh, I heard convert. What was the other one?
Say follow up.
Follow up. Well, follow up would probably go under communication, right? So like, or communicating systematically. So you're right about that. Like their follow up is super important. And that would really be under the communication. And after you followed up, I think it was Elizabeth that said it. You said convert.
Convert to sale.
Convert to sale. That's basically the answer. Yes. And the way that's written in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent is it says service all referrals that come from the database. Service all the referrals that come from it. It may say leads. Actually, no, it's definitely referrals. That's right. So service all referrals that come from it. Let me give you a quick overview of that, and then we're going to go backwards with it. So if someone needs an extension ladder, they need to borrow an extension ladder, who are they going to go to? If you needed to borrow one, what would you do? You'd probably post on Facebook. Like, hey, does anybody have an extension ladder I can borrow? You as a real estate agent can consider that an opportunity to service a referral. It sounds kind of funny, I know, but bear with me here. Someone needs if someone in my database that I know that could send me buyers and sellers or be a buyer and seller, they need an extension ladder. I'll tell you what, I'm going to Home Depot. I'm going to buy one. I'm going to strap it to the top, maybe not the top of my car, maybe my wife's car. And I'm going to drive it to them and happen to strike up a conversation about real estate at the same time. Because I want to be the resource, the concierge, so to speak, of all things that these people need in order to stay in relationship with them. You know, I have bought so many tools and pieces of equipment that I use just to lend out to people that have helped feed my business, like a power washer or a ladder or a lawnmower. You'd be surprised how many times people need these things. And I've lent them out and they're like, oh yeah, like Jess, thanks for bringing the power washer over. How's life? How's work? I'm like, oh, it's really good. And the market's crazy right now. And I have a goal this month of selling 50 houses. And I'm just curious who that might want to buy or sell real estate. How fun is that, right? You get to go drop a power washer off for someone and ask them for real estate. So that is servicing the referrals that come from it. We can think it's just about buyers or sellers, but really it's an opportunity to continue on in the relationship. Anybody have any thoughts on that or any questions before we move on the 4 laws of the database?
I do. I'm sorry. Our office internet went down. Can you just repeat number 3 and 4? Because now I'm on my phone. So
No, that's okay.
I mean, you don't
So
have to
we
go
have-
through everything, but just
Yep.
what they
Number
are.
1, build it. Number 2, feed it. Number 3, communicate with it systematically. And number 4 is service all the referrals that come out of it, out of the database. That sound good? Everybody got that? We're good? Awesome. And if I rush through anything at any time, anybody can stop me. Also, feel free to use the raise hand emoji if you need to grab my attention.
Hey,
So-
Jesse, it's Ann.
Yep. Hey, Ann.
There's a question in the chat from Debbie. Hey, Debbie.
Yep.
She said, I want a clear example of what to do. I hear a ton of general ideas, but nobody has yet to give a step-by-step process.
Awesome.
I think on
Yeah.
lead generation. And, I was just looking at my copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and there's some pretty good step-by-step processes in there under the lead gen model. And I'm sure Jesse's going to touch on that, but I just wanted to let you know, Debbie, that I'm sure he's going to get to that.
Yes, thank you, Ann, so much. And Debbie, we'll certainly, I think we're going to have a ton of fun on that topic, because honestly, I think if we went through that topic and did well with it, I think we would get a lot of value out of it today. Would you guys agree?
I think it's coming off of Mega Camp, being new. It's like there's so many ideas.
Oh, yeah.
You do
Oh, my
this, you
word.
should do that. You should, do this, do that, and it's kind of overwhelming. But there's nothing saying like go into command, click on this,
Right.
do this. It's just
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking
So at the bottom of your screen where the little smiley face is with the reaction,
I don't have
if
that.
you feel,
Sorry.
what's that?
Oh, I don't have that at the bottom of my Zoom, so.
Or maybe if you shrink the screen, because sometimes it doesn't show up on mine.
I think it
But if
doesn't
anybody
show up
has
if you're
that-
on your phone, Debbie. I think you're on your phone.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Oh, you're not? Okay. Sorry.
But if you happen to have it, yeah, if you happen to have the reaction, you can say yes. If you have felt or currently feel overwhelmed, or you can put it in the chat. You can just say yes. Because I would like us all to have a sense of solidarity here in the sense that what Debbie is saying is 100% true. Like, yeah, it's overwhelming. It's a lot. Yep. Oh yeah, there you go. Look at that. A lot of people agree with it. So yeah, so it's not even, so you don't even have to say it feels overwhelming. You can just say it is overwhelming. That's totally fine. So, oh yeah, look at this. Okay, everybody, I think we're all in agreement. Okay, so let's slow walk this just a little bit. Now, you have the handout on page, I think it's page 14 for you guys. I'm just making sure it says it here. You'll see this diagram, and it has what's called a 19 to connect and a 36 to convert. Now, unfortunately, Debbie and other people that are curious about this is I won't be going into command and showing you piece by piece
but basically
how to.
it was so great, connecting with.
Sorry, I'm just having to make sure I mute people. I'm not
Hey,
gonna be able to show you
Jesse,
exactly.
if you want to do you want to make me a co-host and then? I
Oh,
can
yes,
make people?
absolutely. 1 second, let me do that here.
Hey, guys, I work with
Thank
Jesse
you, Ann.
at KW Maine. I'm teaching
Ann's
tomorrow.
basically my boss.
No, I'm teaching tomorrow.
Awesome.
So,
Excellent. Yeah,
just
Ann, I
talking
believe
to-
you're a co-host now, so thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So with the 19 to connect and the 36 to convert, these are going to be methods or frameworks, pardon me, for how you stay in touch with people. Now, the people that you choose to stay in touch with, how many of them you choose to be in touch with, and what you do therein is going to vary a little bit. So I just want to give you guys permission. This can look like a lot, and a lot of this is already set up in command where you can enter your information. It's plug and play. I have to be honest, I don't do a ton in command because I'm not in production right now. So I'm not 100% familiar with how to set up and enter all that, but we can rely on our Market Center tech trainers, if you have one, or the regional MCTT, the Market Center tech trainer, and they can help you. Brooke Silva is amazing, and she can certainly help you step by step to actually get those set up. But we're going to talk about kind of the theory behind this overall, and that is, I want you to think about it this way. The leads, the top section, the 19 to connect, is kind of like, or what it would be called in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, is reaching out to haven't mets or people we don't know. Then the contacts, the 36 to convert, is what we're doing with people that are in our database. So if you think about it from this diagram, the intention is get leads, turn them into contacts. Once we have contacts, we communicate with them systematically and we get referrals. Okay, that's how I just want to be super painting with broad strokes there. So that is really what we're looking to achieve. These individual steps are intended to inspire you or to give you a framework in order to accomplish these things. So for example, in the 19 to connect, they're saying there's 4, 12, 2, and 1. 4 touches, which would be phone calls. You know, call out to your neighborhood 4 times a year. Send out a monthly email, newsletter, market report, or video. 2 times a year, do a direct mail. Send out a calendar, send a market report. I like the magnet. I've got so many realtor magnets on my fridge, it's crazy. And then do an annual event. Like, what if you did a block party? You know what I mean? So this is an idea of you saying, I'm gonna look to a particular market area. Like, for example, my neighborhood would be the Horn Street School neighborhood, and or North Dover, where I live. And that would be something that I would do for the community. Once I've engaged with people and I have my neighbor's contact information, then I'm doing a different 4 phone calls to them a year. Then I'm doing a different biweekly email offering of some sort, 2 events a year for those particular people, and then doing different promotional mailers. Okay, so that's how it's kind of divided up. Does anybody need any clarification on that? I'm kind of going through that in particular. I know it's a lot to digest on the front end, but I just want to see, does anybody have any specific questions before I go into some more general terms?
What's so different? I'm sorry for jumping in. What's so different from the quarterly phone call, the 4 touches in the lead section to the 4 touches in the contact section?
That's a great question. So particularly the phone calls you're asking, George?
Well, I mean, you
Just
said
in general?
a lot of them are, the promotional direct mail magnet, those exist in the lead section too.
Yes. So a way to think about this is the depth of conversation would be a little bit different. Okay. So let's say the 4 touches in the 4 phone calls, for example, to use that, you're calling a neighborhood. Let's say you want to own a particular section of town. You're going to call 4 times a year to those leads and just say, hey, I just want to, touch base with you about what's going on in the market. Is there anything that you need individually, or we're having this fundraiser, we're doing this? When you're calling your contacts, it can be a similar conversation, but you're actually asking for a referral when you're having that conversation. So that would be a minor distinction, George, is the depth of conversation and the request for the referral. Because it would be a little bit strange when on your phone call to a neighborhood, when you're looking to educate them and get them into your database, to say like, hey, can you send me a referral? Like, that would be a little bit unique.
Okay, so once let's say, I go to the gym later today and I meet someone there. I know someone there. I get their contact information. They become a lead. I touch them, 4 touches, quarterly phone call, monthly email, newsletter, all that, promotional direct mail. But when do I take that lead and have that real estate conversation?
So I would say, if an example that you just gave, which is a great example, you meet someone at the gym or you see them all the time, you happen to get their information, that would really be a contact, in my opinion. So I would say you would keep them you would have them as a contact, and you would start having conversations about real estate from the get-go, because that's likely going to come up, right? You're just like, hey, what do you do for work? Oh, I do this,
Okay, so,
and,
the lead section would be, in my neighborhood, call my neighborhood, try to get those numbers if I can.
Yep.
Make that phone call. Hey, this is George, yada, yada. I'm from, Keller Williams.
Yes.
Do
Now,
I have to ask them for their contact information?
Well, here's the thing is, there's all different types of ways that we can do this, right? We can get mailing lists, we can get call lists, we could go door knock and get their information. Now, this is where I think there can be a little bit of confusion. So if you're lost at all, I totally understand. What I think is a better diagram, and I'm not gonna be able to pull it up right now, but it looks like a target. You ever see those? And it starts on the outside. I'm trying to think. No, it's not here at this office. It starts on the outside saying like, hey, here's everybody that can, or that does exist in the market. They're everybody I don't know. And then as it goes further in, the relationship gets deeper and deeper until you get to the bullseye. And we would say those people would be your core advocates or the people that send you business on a regular basis. So I think, George, kind of getting back to what you're talking about with that is, as we start from the outside and move inward, we're having deeper conversations, more real conversations. We're spending more time with those people. We're having more interaction with them and getting more business from them. But as they're further out from the center of the circle, we're having more generic conversations and doing more marketing activities to them.
Okay, so Jesse, with that being said,
yeah,
say, today I send out, I take my neighborhood, I send out magnets for the year.
Mhm.
I have, but those are people that I may not know. I may call my neighborhood, every quarter. I may get people on the phone half the time. When someone does answer that phone up in the lead section, am I just introducing myself? Hey, this is George Satosky. I'm from the area. I'm a local real estate agent, yada, yada, yada. And just try to put my name in their ear. They may tell me, yeah, I'm not interested right now. Click. But I still got them on the phone.
That's right. And I would think about it like this, guys, and George in particular, with that question, because I think it's a fantastic question, is what type of phone call would you like to get from a service provider? Now, an answer may not readily come to your mind, but I would think, how do you frame it for them that they want to build a relationship with you, George? And saying, for example, you use the words, I'm a local real estate agent. What if you change that a little bit? You said, I'm your local real estate expert. I'm the neighborhood expert, right? And they're like, oh, now there's an opportunity for all of us. Like in my neighborhood, a lot of other agencies have listed homes in my neighborhood because I didn't have relationships with all my neighbors at the right time. Okay. But I could still call my neighborhood and say, hey, did you see that this house went up for sale? It's not my listing. I'm not saying it's my listing, but just saying, I just want to let you know how it impacts the value of your home. And then who are they going to call? Who are they going to stay in touch with? Right. Now, you're not calling to hard sell them on anything or bully them or anything like that, but you're building that relationship. And then that's when you say, once you have a two-way bit of communication, again, if you look at the diagram where it says context is interactive and value-based, once you have that interactiveness, that is a contact. If it's really just one way, and you're just doing one-way offerings, they stay in the lead category.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Jesse, to interrupt you again, but
It's okay.
But going back to the one-way offer base, like hi, this is George. I'm your local neighborhood real estate agent.
Yep.
I mean, right after that, I'm lost. Like, what if there, I'm sure there are thousands of scripts for that, but right after that initial, hey, I'm your local real estate agent. I am your local real estate expert or whatever.
Yes.
The phone call needs to progress to a certain point at that stage.
Yes.
And that's where I get lost all the time.
Does anybody else feel that way? Like, yeah, seeing a lot of heads nod, right? It's, as Bethany says, it's like, yeah, for one, if you have a productivity coach, I would approach them with those type of specific things, George, to say like, hey, I'd like to work on these scripts, like something that's actually going to be, that I'm going to be implementing and work on that. But I would say you want to premeditate a little bit. What is the outcome that you're really looking for? hey, this is the value I want to provide you. And then don't feel like you have to stretch it on. Feel free to have a personal conversation, but don't feel like you need to have, a super strict agenda, but just say like, hey, like, this is how I'm looking to provide value to you and engage with you. And, if you need anything, I'll be available, and, for example, on the call, you could say the agenda could be, hey, I want to invite them to an event. You happen to tell them about a house that's listed, so they, tie you to real estate, but then you call and invite them to the event. Once you've invited them to the event, boom, there you go. You move on, go on to the next person.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
Kelly had her hand up, number one. And
Oh,
number
yeah.
two, I'm just going to give a plug for tomorrow's Ignite class, which is all about the scripts and the language and the dialogues and the conversations.
So tune in.
That's why this Ignite is a big, multi-part series talking about the database today. Tomorrow, we're going to tell you what to say to them. So have no fear.
That's fantastic. Great plug, Ann. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so definitely come back, see Ann. And all right, whose hand do we have up now? For some reason, it's not showing me the name.
Well, I was just going to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, Kelly.
No. Well, I was just thinking that if I got someone on the phone, that I would ask them questions like, how long have they been in the neighborhood? How long have they owned their home? And just try to get a feeling for who they are. Let them start talking about themselves. Let them think that, you're interested in them. Take notes, and then start asking, have you ever thought about moving, downsizing?
Yep.
Like, how old are your children? Things like that. That's how I would do it.
Be you. At the end of the day, it's okay to be you. That's good. I love that. Okay, next. Sorry, you had your hand up? I can't. Somebody's not showing me your name. The lady with the glasses. Oh, no, you're done. You're okay. You're good. I saw those eyebrows. All right, good. So let's talk about adding contacts to your database. Okay. Here's the thing. If your database, if it doesn't exist, you want to make sure that you build it or you use command and then start feeding it like crazy. If you can get enough contacts in your database and communicate with them systematically, I will say it again, you can have any type of business that you want. You want to do a buyer-based business, boom, you have it. You want to do a seller-based business or listing-based business, you have it. If you want to work in a particular geographic area, you can do it. If you are not adding enough people to the database or you're not doing it at all, you will be strained in this business to work with people you don't like in places you don't want to work at times you don't want to work. Okay. Now that's the carrot that I'm putting out there is basically if we do what I'm about to suggest, you can live any life you want to live. Now, really when it comes down to business and business theory, which I love studying, is a business is often measured or valued in relation to the size of their database and the quality in which they are communicating with it. Oh, I see. Thank you, Bethany. I see it. We're going to take a break in just 1 second. And so what we want to do is we want to grow a really big database. And what we're going to talk about next after we take a short break is how do we easily fill the database and how do we easily communicate with it? Because I want to dispel some myths that are associated with feeding your database and communicating with it. So when you guys come back, we'll take a break for, I think, let's do until 10:10, but we're going to start right at 10:10 and we're going to launch right into it. So I want you guys to have enough time to get a drink of water and use the restroom if you need to. So go ahead and do that. And when we get back, we're going to talk about the ease of lead gen. And do you know how to play music through Zoom? I was doing that earlier and it wasn't really working. I don't think. Oh, I think you're muted.
I heard it. You're
Can I
fine.
Oh, you
pause
heard
the
the music?
recording? Can I pause the recording?
Oh, yes. Gotta find my slides.
We're back. And hey, everybody, I just did the, I posted the link to all the Spark resources and all the Elemental, the entire Ignite student, everything. So one link is going to take you to the entire Google folder, and then you could go in and pick the resource that you need for the next month. How's that?
Thank you, Anne.
Welcome.
Simply the best. All right. I have to relaunch our slide here. Just 1 second. Pardon me. So what we're talking about is adding people to the database. We want to do that in a way that it's actually going to be possible and replicable. So let's do this here. We're going to go back to our screen here. There we go. Everybody over here. Perfect. Okay, so first, I would like everybody to, not everybody, but a few people at least, in the chat, do you know how many contacts you have in your database? Feel free to put in the chat how many you believe or know are in your database. I'll put mine in as well. All right, Richard has one where that was a typo, but one is a good start at 840, 660, 19, okay. Now, I'm not sure about on the Android platform, but I know on iOS for the iPhone, if you go into your contacts and look at your list of contacts and go all the way to the bottom where the number symbol is, and you look at the bottom, there should be a number there. And I just want to encourage you that if you feel like you have a small database or no database at all, that's your database for right now. And I currently have just under 3,000 contacts just in my phone. Okay. So I want you to think about how many people are in your phone that you have saved. That's a database. So what we want to do, I'm seeing here. All right, so we got a lot of answers here. Oh, I love that, Anne. 6,200, most of them are agents. I love that. So, well, that's useful for yours and my role, I guess. But anyway, so let's talk about how do we grow a database, and then how do we communicate with it? Okay, so this is stuff that I like absolutely love. Like, this is super exciting stuff. So my methodology around the database, this idea of I want to grow it with people that I know I'm going to communicate with, that I want to communicate with. And that is going to yield better results than just pumping people into the system, right? Being like, oh, I'm just going to collect contact information and put them into the system and never communicate with them. That's of no value. Now, I want to say, as a precursor to this, there is one person in my database, one human, just one piece of contact information that has supplied me over my career with just under 19%. It's like 18 point something percent of all of my business came from one person. Okay. Now, if we do the math on that, for me to do as much business as I have done in the past, I would have only needed five and a half of those people. Just 5. And stay in touch with them. That's it. Do you think you could stay in touch with 10 or fewer people and have good communication with them, good conversations? Yes. That's what I want to demystify in the front end, is to say it's not just the numbers game in the sense of, oh my word, I have to be in touch with 2,000 people. Let's demystify that in the front end. This is Ignite. We're not dealing with mega teams that have, they're doing 6,000 units and they need to have a database of 280,000 people. We're not talking about that right now. We are talking about getting your business in motion and having a consistent lead flow coming in and referrals. Now that's what I want to talk about in regard to growing the database and communicating with it. So let's talk about growing the database. If you were tasked with growing your database to double what you currently have it as, how would you do that? What are some thoughts? You can either raise your hand or you can put it in the chat. If you had to double your database, how would you do that? You got to get extra people in there. So I see networking events. It's great. Bridget, would you like to come off mute there?
I'd call everyone in the database and ask them who they know is looking to buy or
Ooh.
sell.
That's a good one. So you're basically leveraging your database to grow your database, right?
Mhm.
I like that. How would that sound? I'm just curious if you were to do that.
So on my first run through, I wasn't ever afraid because I've already contacted everyone that we uploaded to Command. I wasn't afraid to say, I just started and this is one of the activities that they have us do is contact everybody who's in my phone. And I was wondering if you knew of anyone who was looking to buy or sell real estate. After I went through discussing some of their family and, reconnecting with them because it was a little bit awkward, but I did bring it up and occasionally I did get names.
Yeah.
So, or they would say, I am, you know what I mean? So then they were marked as a lead.
No, it's great. Well, it's fun, like to think about it like this. It kind of sparked a thought in my mind is sometimes we overcomplicate things where it's like a contact could be the source for another contact, right? Or a lead could be the source of a referral for another lead. Okay. So we never want to discount anybody. Like, this is some fun math. The average person has a first name basis, regular type of communication with 80 people in their immediate sphere, 80 people. Now, if you only had 80 people in your database that you were regularly in touch with, and they know 80 people, so we do 80 times 80, that's 6,400 people that you have a second degree of separation to, right? You have the opportunity for. Now, if we took those 6,400 and we do 16% of that, that means that those 6,400 people, out of all of them, about 16% will do a real estate transaction in the next year. That means 1,024 opportunities for sales in the next year. Now, this is where the demystifying it continues is we don't have to have a database of 100,000 people that's stressing us out and we have all their contact information. We're having to email them and they're unsubscribing from our list and they're doing all this stuff. No. We need to have a few good relationships that we go deep on and we tap into their network as well as a byproduct, as providing value, not to be salesy, not to be pushy, not to be demanding, but to provide value and to receive those referrals. Because here's the reality. Of all the people that you know, if 16% of them are going to transact in the next year, why can't it be you? Like, don't you think that you provide a good level of customer service? And what if they ended up with, like, not to use anything derogatory, what if they ended up with a terrible agent? What if they ended up with someone horrible? They have a bad experience and they're your friend or they're your friend's friend. Do you want them to have that experience? It's not to guilt you as much as to say, to encourage you to say, hey, we have the opportunity to serve people really well. And we want to make sure we do that. Because here's the reality. There's a saying in the class that Keller Williams runs called BOLD. They say, hey, at a weak moment, someone could end up with a weak agent.
I don't understand.
Oh,
I said I had a weak moment, but I could search
Siri's
the web
listening to
for
me
it.
and she's talking to me. Get out of here. Did you guys hear that? That's so funny. It was
That
a male's
happened
voice
twice yesterday with my Google when no one even said that word. And I was like, stop talking
Like,
to me. It's
What is
really
that? That really tripped me out all of a second. I was like, I hear someone's voice. That's hilarious. Okay. So at a weak moment, you could end up with a weak agent. What does that mean? Now, let me use this example. If you were having a heart condition and you needed to find a cardiologist, would you look online for the worst cardiologist or the best cardiologist? You'd look for the best one, obviously, right? Rhetorical question. Now, if you happen to be out in the wilderness on a hike by yourself, okay, and you start to feel chest pain and you fall over, and the worst cardiologist in your area happens to be hiking that same trail and comes upon you, are you going to let them examine you? 100% yes. Why? Because you are in a vulnerable position and you need someone with some type of expertise. Now, in the normal world, you would never pick that person. You would never do that. But that is happening to buyers and sellers all the time in real estate. They have a need and they know you as an agent, or they know that someone knows you as an agent or something, and they happen to click on that Zillow ad, or they happen to stop into that open house and they get locked down by another agent, and they could, this is hypothetical, have a bad experience because we didn't stay on top of keeping our mind share up or keeping our face in front of them. Okay, so this is a little bit more theory. Now let's go into the actual practice of it. So I'm sorry to stick on the theory part a little bit, but I love using that analogy anyway. So how do we actually get people into the database? Now, this is where it's going to be the bread and butter of today's conversation is getting into action and not having to do things that inherently make us uncomfortable. Okay, now I'm going to give a few examples, and then I'm going to ask for you guys to give examples, and we're going to run through a scenario. Okay, so I made a decision a couple of years ago after hearing Jason Abrams speak. If you haven't heard of him, he's one of the leaders at KWRI. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start lead generating by involving people in my hobbies. Okay. One of my hobbies happens to be collecting guns and shooting them at the range. I'm not a hunter. I don't enjoy hunting animals or doing any of that stuff. But I love target practice. It's just a ton of fun to me. It's a fun sport. And I go all the time. So what I did is I bought a VIP membership to the shooting range locally. It's like the best premier one in the area. It costs the equivalent of about $100 a month, a little bit less than that. And then I already have my guns, which I love to shoot, and my ammo, which I shoot. I was going to shoot it anyway. And I would just invite people along with me to build a relationship with them. And this is part of that like touch program, like having an excuse to hang out with people. So I'd get 2 or 3 people, no more than that. Or sorry, 1 or 2 people. So it'd be a party of 3. And we would go shooting together. And guess what? We didn't really talk about real estate at all, but they would always send me referrals. Okay. One of those people happens to be a financial advisor who has sent me, like I said earlier, almost 19% of all the deals that I've done in real estate out of hundreds of deals. And he happens to have an enjoyment for shooting as well, and collecting firearms and things like that. Now, that may not be your speed at all, but there is something that is your speed. Okay. I thoroughly enjoy reading. I read about 60 to 70 books a year. So I have a reading club. Guess what? I have every excuse in the world to reach out to those people and talk to them about things. And while I'm at it, I bring up real estate. Why not? And build relationships. So in effect, my communication with my database has become more narrow over time and far more profitable. So this is where I want to keep it simple for you guys is if it's tough for you to get into command, if it's tough to stay in touch with people, let's narrow our focus and increase the depth. Okay, so this would kind of go back to what Debbie was talking about. It's like, oh my gosh, it can be overwhelming to have 60,000 people in my database or need to get that big. It's like, okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit and let's keep it simple. So the question for you guys is, what are you already doing that you can involve people in to grow your database and communicate with it? Okay. Now I'll give you 3 other examples that are not mine. They're from other people and that have actually worked. One, there's a woman that my coach was coaching that was down somewhere on the coast of Florida. She was doing about $250,000 a year in gross commission income, and she felt stuck at that level for a couple of years. You know, she's like, hey, can I hit a plateau? So the coach said, well, why don't you go to the local marina, buy a boat, and start building relationships with people at the yacht club. So she bought a boat, and within 2 years, her GCI went up by 10 times. Okay. And she was working less than she had worked before. So her GCI, I think it was like 250,000 up to like almost 2.3 million in commission income. Boom, like that. She was not only doing more deals, but she was doing a higher price point as well. Okay. Just by going boating, guys. Can you believe that? Like doing something that she would probably do anyway, that she certainly enjoys and is basically a leisure activity, and she could write it off. All right, I see a couple of hands raised. And who should we call on first? I can't see the names.
We've got Brenda and Bridget, both with hands up.
Okay, well, Brenda.
Okay, so that was, you answered my question. I'm like, hell yeah, can I have a boat that's a write-off for my for my real estate? Oh yeah, it's only a $400,000 boat. We'll just sign that right off. It sounds like a plan to me.
Talk to your CPA. Don't take Jesse's word for it, but talk to your CPA, right? So, but yeah, I mean, why not? Even if you can't write it off, right? You say, hey, what's the opportunity that I have here? So Bridget, why don't you go ahead? What's on your mind?
I joined cheerleading. I volunteered to head coach for my daughter's cheerleading team. And it was just circumstance, but one of the moms had already sold her house and she said she didn't like her agent. So I already know, because she knows, and I don't really have to say anything to them because I wear my Mega Camp t-shirts to practice. So I'm a walking advertisement that I am in real estate anyway, but I don't talk to them about, you know what I mean, buying or selling, because I talk about cheering, but they know, you know what I mean, that I am a real estate agent. So hopefully that will come to fruition, and it allows me to spend time with my daughter.
Oh my word.
An activity, right? So it's a perfect storm for me. So I'm playing a long game, but that's part of the plan.
That's fantastic. I love that example so much, because I like that you even tied in the fact that you're spending time with your child. You know, it's like, yeah, that's very efficient. Now, let's brainstorm here, everybody. What is a way that Bridget could take that to the next level? You can raise your hand, you can come off mute, or you can put it in the chat. What do you think is a way that this could be? What do people say? Let's plus that, right? Like, let's make that even better. All right, sponsor an activity with their business name. Oh, sponsor an event with cheer. Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts? So yeah, right. Think about this. I'm gonna jump on a couple topics really quickly. Is in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it says that you should spend about 10 to 12% of your gross commission income on lead generation. To some of you that may sound low, and to some of you that may sound high. Okay. When I was cold calling, going like crazy, my coach said, hey, how much are you spending on lead generation? Like, add that up. And we found out I was only spending 0.5% of my gross commission income on lead generation. And he said, Jesse, you are missing a huge opportunity here. Like, you could be getting more business by leveraging a little bit of your income into lead generation. Now, here's the reality. Let's say you're doing 100,000 in gross commission income, 10 to 12,000, about $1,000 a month could be utilized for lead generation. What would it look like if you were to get really creative, Bridget in particular, around sponsoring the cheer team with a couple $100 a month? You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to say it would be simple. There, you got to put some thought into it. But like, what if you were buying the jerseys or the should I say outfits? I'm not really sure. I don't know anything about cheering. I imagine I'm gonna learn about cheering because I have 2 daughters. You know, what if you were to host an event or you know, sponsor a competition or any of those number of things? That is lead generation.
Yeah, sort of in a way I already have because when when we joined, well, I said that I would volunteer in June. I got my license in April. So I said I would volunteer in June. I didn't hear back from them. My daughter has a birthday in August and we started practice on August 1st. So when we started, I hand wrote all of these invitations and gave them to each girl on the team so that their parents would come to my house for a birthday party.
That's great.
That's my goal is to be like the town mayor of York. Like they were saying yesterday, there's like the real estate agent in York who basically everybody goes to. That's the goal for Southbridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I associated myself with cheerleading, besides part of my personality in the area anyway. So I had to give that some thought, but these were like chance opportunities that just came up. They said them in passing and I was like, oh, I'll do that. You know?
Yeah.
So, and real estate
Awesome.
has allowed me to. So that's a good thing.
That is fantastic. Now, what are we taking from this? Let's pause for a moment. And I'd like to hear from some of you. What does all this mean to you? Like, what's going through our minds right now?
We have to find our own niche and figure out what works for us and what we're comfortable with. And maybe as we get used to stuff, we can, you know, branch out to maybe things that are a little less comfortable for us. But to start with, it's okay to start with the comfort.
Totally fine. That's great. Thank you, Brenda. Bethany, go ahead.
Yeah, similar to what Brenda just said, you know, when I first started doing this, I think I was really naive. I should have known, but I did not realize at all the amount of lead generation that would have to go into it. And it was really hard for me, extremely. And it still is, you know, I'm only in it a year and it still is. However, it is a combination of stepping out into my comfort zone a little bit, but then also figuring out what I'm actually really good at and where I've been successful and really honing in on that. And not having lead generation be in such a small box and deciding that, okay, I'm not comfortable with that. So I guess I can't do this and I better just quit, which was my first reaction to it is, oh, I can't do that. So then never mind, I got to stop.
I imagine other people have felt that way.
Yeah. So I think that that's just something that I'm still really learning and I would assume is going to continue to happen. But yes, I have to do some of the things I don't really like, but I also really need to hone in on where I have up to this far point been successful and keep trying to grow that.
That's great. And yeah, that is, I just think that's such a deep thing that you said, because it can be unnerving and before we go to Cynthia is, you know, we can live inside our own heads so much, right? We can get inside our own heads and that can be a really tough thing. So yeah, I think breaking out of that mold and giving ourselves permission to lean into things that we could be good at or enjoy it almost seems counterintuitive, right? So that's great. Thank you for sharing that thing. All right, Cynthia, what do you have?
I think being authentic in what you choose to do to promote yourself or get out into the community, because I feel like, you know, everybody has their own thing that they really believe in, And, I was thinking about ways to get into the community. And I'm like, but, my son was complaining that he plays basketball, and he was complaining that the courts, like they need new hoops and nets and all that. So I called the town. They're already working on that. But, and then I actually called the planning department, and because we don't have a dog park, but we have 2 dogs. So I was thinking about maybe, helping, or maybe just even bringing that up to it, like in front of the town, I mean, something like that I would love to, and then, I could meet people there, but I don't know, something authentic though, because I feel if it's pushed too much, then I think people can see that. Or if it doesn't really fit with your personality, then maybe people can see that too. I don't know.
Certainly.
I think being true to yourself is very important, So.
I think we would certainly all agree with that. I think that's such an excellent point. And, that's the thing, that if you could catch what Cynthia just said, is the idea of like, what is that authentic thing to you that you're already doing, and kind of mix with what Bridget said, is like, what are you already doing? What are you participating in that you could double down on, that you could leverage, so to speak? And I want to be very clear, this is not about being salesy or pushing things on people. It is an opportunity to serve the community, and to take care of people through some of the most challenging transactions that they could potentially experience in their life, and to be a great fiduciary to them. And yes, we will be compensated for that, and that's part of our role. So I would just, encourage you to think right now. And just before we go to, or Bridget, do you have something quick? Sorry.
Yeah, really quick. When you said to be supportive of them during difficult transitions in their lives, just paying attention, even on Facebook, to your circle of friends. I had a friend who I cheered with in high school recently go through a divorce, and she was consistently posting for about 2 weeks about an apartment in an area that I don't service. But I did my best for her and went on to MLS just to get her apartment listings in that area, in the hope that when her and her husband decide to list their property, she will consider, at least even just consider me, you know what I mean, as someone to be listing that property with. I didn't try and, push it on her too much, but we did have a discussion, and I told her it's really stressful. So just being a support system for somebody else kind of gives you an opening during transitions in their lives, but you can't push the real estate. You kind of have to have some tact when you're doing that.
Yes, absolutely. And, one of the things I've appreciated about Keller Williams and the language that we've had, and I imagine, Ann will be touching on this tomorrow as well, is the idea that we can become the real estate consultant of choice, or real estate expert of choice in a community of people, right? And that goes back to marketing 101, the idea of having mind share, and staying top of mind with people. So I like to think about it like this: is usually we as agents do what we can to avoid communicating with people in an effective way that's going to gain business, because we think it has to be painful. Kind of going back to what Bethany said, we think it has to be like, However, if we do a little bit of work in our mindset, and we say, hey, what is something I'm already doing, like we've just been talking about here the past few minutes, that should enable us and empower us and encourage us to go after those conversations. Like, what would it look like to have good conversations with people that seem natural and authentic, as Cynthia said. So I just want to give 2 other examples, because I think they're hilarious. They came from the same person down in Georgia. One woman did a shopping day once a week. She loved going shopping. And so she got together a group of people that were interested in shopping. And what they would do is they would go and do their shopping and mingle together, go to like the mall or wherever they were going. And when they were done, they would meet up at Starbucks, and she would sponsor people, or sponsor the Starbucks. So she would pay for people's Starbucks. And then they would sit around in the Starbucks and talk about what they bought. And she got Starbucks permission because she was bringing people every week, bringing like, it was like a huge crowd. It was ridiculous. I think she was saying like 30 or 40 people at a time. And she would bring a sign, like one of her yard signs, and put it in the Starbucks while they were hanging out. The same woman had a tennis club and she would sponsor tennis. Like if somebody didn't have a racket, is that what it's called? Yeah, a racket. She would buy them a racket. And again, she'd put her signs up at the tennis courts and rent out the tennis courts. And this woman, interestingly enough, was a single mom, and she went up to like, I think the last I heard it was like 1.3 or 1.4 million in commission income. And just, she was going out shopping once a week with people and playing tennis. That was it. Sounds like a racket to me. Oh my gosh. I love the puns. Puns are welcome here. So I hope that this is sparking some ideas in your mind about the process of, like, we're talking technical about the lead generation model, lead generation general in the database. This whole thing is encompassing the reality that we need to be in communication with a group of people. Just be intentional about it, right? That's how, like, if we can really summarize what we've covered so far. So, would anyone be willing to, maybe someone that hasn't shared yet, maybe someone that's hiding, I don't know, maybe you feel that little angst inside of you to participate. Maybe someone's willing to come off mute and share a thought that's coming to their mind about, hey, maybe I could do this, and we could brainstorm on how to build a system around that. Does anybody have any ideas? I can do the heavy lifting, I promise.
I think communicating in your community, like going to church, all that stuff that people do in a community.
Yeah.
I'm trying, but it's still soon to do it. I just give a card last Sunday to a friend that she didn't get back to me. So I'm hoping she didn't forget it, because I know her from the past when I was working at the hospital. Yeah. So she was happy to see me, and I told her about that I was in real estate. So I just handed out the card, but I didn't have the phone with me, so I didn't get her phone number. Okay. So I'm just hoping her to get back to me. And in a couple of days ago, when I was for my daughter to meet the teacher, I volunteered for the PTO. So I'm hoping to be being around these people too. We'll see.
I've heard, well, I can't see your name. I can't see anybody's names right now for some reason. What is your name?
Lourdes.
Lourdes? Excellent. Yeah. So tell me, or no, sorry. I was gonna say, I'm gonna tell you something first, and then would you tell me something? I've heard people that are part of those parent-teacher organizations like kill it, right? Like they have so much business. So what are ways, and anybody can brainstorm on this, whether we have, in the chat, you can come off mute or anything, is what can we do as part of the PTO to engage with people? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Back to you, Bridget. Go ahead, and then Debbie.
PTA always needs money. So, and it's not necessarily one of the things that I learned from our office at Pinnacle Central in Worcester is if you can get a donation, or you can get one of the preferred lenders to help you do something with your PTA, like to make a donation or whatever it is, that also connects you to your leads. Like you're making a huge statement, because they're constantly in search of money. Or if you sponsor children, you know what I mean, to do something, or if somebody can't pay and you sponsor for that child to participate in something, they're just happy to have your time with those organizations most of the time. So yeah. That's my best. PTA can, I know, because I'm gonna join it, so.
Boom.
It's, yeah.
Awesome. Well, great. Debbie, you had something?
I was gonna say basically the same thing, money. They always need sponsor. You know, if they have a back to school event, they need money to have food trucks or bounce house or.
Yeah.
The problem, well, not really a problem. One thing I'm struggling with is the idea of doing something for the community. Clearly, you know, honestly, we're doing it for leads and publicity as well as doing the good deed. But also like the care calls that are constantly being talked about, you know, care call. I'm finding it hard to be genuine, you know, without just flat out saying, hi, I'm calling because, you know, I've gotten into real estate.
Right.
And are you looking to buy or sell? I just feel like it's a struggle to me to seem genuine when you're just calling and checking in on somebody or just doing something without being more open about it. So,
yeah,
you know,
well,
do you sponsor an event and say, I'm sponsoring this event and putting my sign out there and doing this? I mean, PTO, that's different. I'm talking about more of a charitable contribution. And also with the calls, you know, I just don't feel comfortable calling people or reaching out to, you know, some of my Facebook friends that aren't really friends and chatting about their kids and stuff, and then throwing in, by the way, I just feel like people are going to see right through that. They're going to know. So do you just flat out say it from the beginning? This is why I'm reaching out to you.
how's everyone feel? I see. And you texted me exactly what's on my mind.
Literally a Debbie Downer today. Sorry for all
No,
my.
you're not being a Debbie Downer. All right, we're gonna take a poll here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna do this. Poll. Ready? Here. Oh wait, I have to do it on the website. Never mind. I'm not gonna do it. No poll. Let's just say either in the chat or with a thumbs up or something, or head nod. Do you guys agree with what Debbie just said? Do you guys feel the same way? I think it'd be crazy if you didn't. Yeah, a lot of thumbs up, a lot of head nodding. Yeses. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, Rebecca said the buzzword there. It does feel manipulative. Manipulative. Let that sit for a minute. Okay. So let's address this head on. I think personally that we do more damage in between our ears in regard to this than is necessary. That we play it up because we know what it's like to get a telemarketing call. We know what it's like. Like we get telemarketing calls. Here's the thing. We shouldn't be doing that, right? We shouldn't just be telemarketing unnecessarily. What are we doing to add value to people's lives and enrich the relationship? Now, here's the reality is, I'm trying to think of a adequate example because it's tricky when we're the real estate agents. But let's say that your friend was a real estate agent and you were not. Let's hypothetically do an out-of-body experience here. And you genuinely love them. Like there are probably at least a dozen people that you like that are not related to you that you love. That you're like, oh my gosh, you would weep if they were injured or passed away or anything like that. Like you love them. If they were a real estate agent, would you want to see them succeed? Now I'm trying to trick you here, but would you want to see them succeed? Yeah. Now, we have an opportunity to literally change how people interact with us as salespeople and to have an influence in the community. Because there's a couple of things happening at the same time. So I want to validate what Debbie's saying and say, like, I believe that we're doing that. I think sometimes our methodology is what hamstrings us. Okay. Sometimes it's our scripting, which Ann will get to tomorrow, with the language of real estate, which is really great. And sometimes it's our mindset going into certain things. Now, I have found that, hold on a second, I'm gonna grab my favorite book here. Oh, 1 second. Ooh, sliding all over the place. My favorite book. I realize it's backwards, but it says The Aladdin Factor. This is my favorite book I've ever read. And do you know what it says here at the bottom? Is it says how to ask for what you want and get it. It's super corny title and subtitle. Okay, how to ask for what you want and get it. It's written by the guys that wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. I never thought I would read a book by those guys, by the way. And I have read this book, like, I think I'm listening to it now for like the 10th time, easily. And really what it comes down to is we have not because we ask not. And sometimes the way we ask for things is inadequate. Okay. Wait, are you still sharing? Oh, I see. Thank you, Ann. So the way that we ask can be ineffective. And the reality is that oftentimes people like the opportunity to give to us and to refer us because it's better to give than to receive. Like, we're giving people the opportunity to help us and they're blessed. I know this sounds kind of weird, but this is something that I had to read this book so many times to get it through my head. And all right, let's just get transparent here, okay? Because I want to just hit this nail on the head. I have gone through a lot of tribulations in my relationship with my wife. And what I found was oftentimes it came down to a failure of communication, which we would all agree is central to a relationship, okay? And oftentimes that communication came down to not asking or being specific about what we need from the other person. And this can be as simple as, can you help me bring in the groceries? Like, we learned after a number of years, it's like, I have no problem bringing in all the groceries. I just don't like putting them away because I don't remember where everything goes. So, it's like, so my wife would ask me like, hey, do you mind bringing in the groceries? And I'll put them away. And I would ask like, hey, do you mind if I bring in the groceries and you put them away? That's a very superficial example. But sometimes it would be like, hey, can you speak my love language? And it's not that she's unwilling to. We think like, oh, well, if you really loved me, you would just know what I need. Right? But it's like, no. Sometimes we have to ask. So I know that's getting like really personal and it can be uncomfortable. But at the same time, too, I want to encourage you that people want to see us succeed because they love us too. And that's the point, is we build those relationships, we have those engagements, and those people need to be served as well. And their friends and family need to be served as well. And we have that opportunity to make an impact. People can smell commission breath, but also you have to remember, people won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel, okay? And you have the opportunity to engage with people in your database. This is why I say, like, it doesn't have to be 6,000 people. It can be 20 people that you engage with. And I was just coaching someone yesterday that's starting a business, and she was saying, Jess, I'm nervous because I feel like I'm going to let these people down. I said, then tell them that. Just be honest. Just tell them like, hey, I'm kind of nervous that you're not going to like the quality of this and you won't give me a chance to improve. And I said, just tell people to take a chance on you. In the same way, you can tell people, like, I have called my best friend before when I've had a couple dry months in real estate. I've been like, hey, dude, you love me and my family, and I love you and your family, and I'm asking you for your help. Like, if you hear of anybody that thinks about talking about real estate, would you send them my way? And guess what? Every person says yes. Like, yeah. Now, if we call people and we don't ask them how they are, we don't engage with them, and text me and talk about the Ford conversation, I'm sure will you go through that tomorrow, Ann? The Ford conversation, do you think? Yeah, you're nodding yes, okay. So, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. You talk about people's family, you talk about their occupation, you talk about their recreation, you talk about their dreams. And don't be afraid to ask, like, hey, this is a little bit awkward for me, but like, I'm new to real estate, and I'm just thinking like, hey, you're a good friend of mine, and would you help support me in my business? Like, that's authentic, right? Like, that's real. That's really real. And I think people really appreciate that. I feel like I need to stop and just ask people, like, let's just see what's happening in the energy, because I feel like the energy changed a little bit, even through Zoom. Where are people at? What are people thinking?
One of the things before I went into real estate, I have quite a few friends that are realtors. And one of the things that a friend of mine said, and I have it on my image board, is to keep in mind that I'm helping people. And it's right in the front of me right now, I'm looking at it. She said, if you keep that in mind, it will help you. So not to come at it from, I'm calling you because I'm selling real estate and do you know anybody? It kind of helps me, because that mindset of people are thinking, oh, another realtor's calling me, or, they want to know, I sell my house. They want something from me. And I heard a lot of that from Mega Camp too. And it kind of helped change my mindset. And I'm listening to people talk about, cheerleading and all that. And my kids are all done with all of that. So I'm like, okay, I can't do any of those things. But one of the things I did think about was everything that's happened down south and how they need help. So I'm thinking, okay, so going to either the Chamber of Commerce or the Red Cross and volunteering there. And that has nothing to do with, trying to sell real estate or anything. And that's just something from me. So whatever comes of that. But I think if a person comes from authentic, it's going to be who you are, or who I am. So it kind of takes out that mindset of the whole, I have to get contacts, or I have to try to get a listing, and that kind of helps me. From where I was when I first started saying, I have to get my leads. It kind of helps me, not every day, but it's getting me going in that direction.
That's wonderful. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And it is about the mindset, isn't it? Yeah, and Anne, that's great. Come from contribution. Bethany, I see your hand up. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something, because like I've said a few times, this is the area that has always been, and by always, again, only 1 year, but, really, really big struggle for me, especially being really authentic. I'm an extremely authentic person, and I can sniff out an unauthentic person a mile away, and it will automatically make me not want to talk to you. So I just never want to be that person. But listening to what everyone says, listening to the kind of the way that Keller Williams constructs how we do lead generation, how we nurture relationships, all that. My coach, Tammy Richards, for anybody who knows her, is absolutely wonderful. She said to me one time, because I would spiral, I would get really frustrated with my struggle with this area. And she said, you chew all the meat and you spit out the bones. And that just really is something that I still to this day, not just in real estate, but in all of my life, because I can tend to hone in on my most uncomfortable part and not really hear anything else. So I just remember those words, chew all the meat, spit out the bones, kind of take what resonates with you to being your most authentic self within real estate and using that. So if something does feel really unauthentic and not truthful and disingenuous, well, then I guess don't say that, you know, kind of do something a little bit different. To somebody else, those exact same words actually maybe are completely truthful and they're not disingenuous. So I guess that's just, it's a learning curve, and I am learning it every single day.
That's awesome. Thank you. Excellent. Well, that is huge. Yes, stay true to yourself. Don't compromise on your own values and your own stuff. And I think that's fantastic. Shannon, we can go to you next.
I think a lot of it too is if it's in your head that you're sounding like you're not being genuine, then that's how it's going to come across. I do have an advantage. I'm on a team, so we already have a database and I'm calling that database. Some of them haven't been called in a long time, so I'm new to calling them. But I'm calling and just like, hey, how are you? How have things been going? How's the house you have? Just starting conversations with them so that they're getting familiar with talking to our team again. And we do get to the subject of, are you looking at, you know, possibly selling your home, looking for a new home, cleaning up the database. But a lot of times the conversations just start with how they are, how their house is doing, what they've done this summer, if they've heard about the crazy market. And then the conversation just goes from there. And I've come across maybe 2 rude people in the last 2 months. Everybody else has been super nice. They've reached out to the head of our team and been like, hey, Kathy, I heard from Shannon. She called me up and she's like, you know, Kathy's like, I haven't heard people, you know, reach out to me and being like, I've had a team member call. She's like, so now I'm hearing, you know, people are calling. She's like, so that's a good sign. And people are very receptive. They haven't been rude to me at all. They've all been super friendly, nice. So I think if you take down that like anxiety of it, it might help you a little bit that they're gonna know that you're being genuine. You're not trying, it's not just like, oh, money signs in your head. Because these are potential people to make money off from, but that's not the only reason that we're calling them. And one of the suggestions I got was like, talk to them about, have you had your furnace cleaned yet? Have you, you know, looked into having, you know, your sorry, trying to find my notes, looked into who's going to plow for you, because in Maine we have horrible winters. So other sources that you can get, you know, sources for them, resources for them are different things that you can also talk to them about. So it's not just, do you want to buy or sell? You're giving them other resources as well. So that way, when they're thinking of a company, they're like, oh, Keller Williams, for me, the Manchester team. So a good thing, other good things to talk about.
That's so good. And I just want to latch onto one little thing you said, Shannon, and that is, it reminds me of, we all know the singer Adele, right? And this is a funny one. It's called the Adele script. And it's from that song, Hello. It's like, hello, how are you? Right? It's like halfway through the song or something like that. Man, just start with that, you know? And I just want to say that I 100% agree with all the sentiment that's been shared with all of this, is the idea that if we are, I know, who is it that was, I'm looking at the chat here. Sarah keeps laughing and talking about the commission breath thing, is saying like, hey, yeah, we don't want to have commission breath. We don't want to be like, like all over people. Like, I just want money from you. But you know, what does it look like to come with a heart of servitude? You know, like, and I want to serve my community. I want to take care of people. People are going to be buying and selling whether I interact with them or not. And you know, if it's to be, it's up to me. You know, if it's to be, if they're going to be transacting, why can't I provide good customer service? So I think it's just a little bit of tweaking things. And you know, just go back to the thing that Debbie was saying, is the idea that sometimes we feel awkward asking for business because we haven't done the work to actually build the relationship. You know, so yeah, if we're just calling, 600 people a week and begging for their business, that's pretty unauthentic and weird and strange and stuff like that, right? You're gonna have a very low conversion rate. But if we're calling and asking how people are and checking in on them and letting them know that we're happy to help them in any way that they need, that includes real estate, all encompassing, that you can really make an impact. And we're going to take a break here in just 1 second, but I just was thinking about the concept of, going back to this Aladdin Factor book, is seldom will someone ask me for something genuinely and I don't reciprocate. Like I can't think of that. Like my wife and I have a rule in our house that if someone asks for a donation to a cause or to be supported through our church family or something like that, we do it. We don't do it indefinitely, but we're willing to do it at least for a period of time, because they had the gumption to ask us. And I think we have to remember that too. Like people are willing to return the favor to us just because we participated in a relationship with them. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. What I'm going to say is we're going to take 5 minutes. You guys can use the bathroom, get a drink of water, do whatever you need to do. We'll be back at 11 past the hour. If you'd like to stay on and chat about anything, I will be staying here because I don't need to take a break. So feel free, if you want to come off mute and you want to chat about anything, we have a few minutes.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Is it possible if you can send me the recording of this?
Yeah, Ann, I think
If I
that's
send you my
possible,
email.
right?
Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Um,
Because you
Perfect.
asked.
Well, I think the region's gonna have that available. I'm not sure if Jesse himself can do that.
I may be able
Um,
to. I will check at the end of this call because I have to log into the Zoom for the region.
Okay.
So I'll see if I can just shoot it over.
Okay. Are you
So,
guys
and
all
should I
members
just-
of the Facebook group too?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that. It was,
Yeah.
yesterday was posted on the Facebook site.
Yeah, I think they're
already.
gonna
Okay.
post it on the Facebook group.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we will
No
do that.
problem. Sounds good. Thank you.
If anybody does not have the link to that Facebook group, let me know and I'll pop it in the chat.
Thank you. Da, da, da.
Hey, Jesse,
Yeah.
it's Brenda here. You made a comment about I'm now in real estate and would appreciate what was that statement you made? It sounded so genuine. I liked it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Do you have to rewind it?
I know. Oh no, she just put me on the spot. Well, I think when we go through the conversation, ultimately is we say like people are going to ask us about what's going on with us. Be like, hey, I transitioned into real estate, and I'm really looking to serve this community well, and I would love the opportunity to. I've even said this I've literally said this to people. I'd love to be your real estate agent for life. I'd love to be a resource for you, an encouragement to you, useful to you, all these things. And I think if you can personalize that in your own way, that, what's that saying? Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks, and I think if you can convey that in a way where you say, hey, I would appreciate your support in my business. I know that what I mentioned earlier, the idea of loving your friends, like I know that you support me and you've been such an encouragement, and I'd love your help in serving the community. You don't have to talk about your business and I'd love your help in getting checks, right? I'd love your help. No. But also we know too from, I think it's Earl Nightingale, he talked about the concept of we are compensated in direct proportion to the service we provide people. You know, this may make some people uncomfortable, but Jeff Bezos, he's a really rich guy. Regardless of what you think about it, Amazon has served a lot of people. Like, are there other effects of it, like other businesses going out of business and different things? Yeah, like that's the beast of business, right? I'm not trying to defend any of that as much as it is, you know,
Right.
that company has served a lot of people, a lot of customers, you know,
Right.
and in the same way, we have the capacity to serve a lot of people, and it's okay if we make a good income. So
Yeah.
hope that
I
helps.
just want to make enough income so I don't have to do the job I'm doing right now.
There you go. Get that boat, girl. So-
I know, right? Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because so we have, my boyfriend and I have a place in Jackman, Maine. So we have we're snowmobilers, and it's so funny because like a lot of my friends that own the camps around us are all from Massachusetts.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's why I like threw that out there about the Maine real estate agents, because I got friends that are looking to get the hell out of Connecticut, and you know, like a lot of people aren't moving here, they're moving away from here. So
Yep.
you know, but I'd rather send it to, you know, someone in the Keller Williams family than
Oh yeah.
outside
absolutely.
of.
Well, it's good to build relationships and engage with other agents. You know, someone that I'm coaching right now, she received in the last 12 months, she's received 72 agent referrals
Wow,
in the last year.
that's cool.
Not all of them have come to fruition, but you know, plenty of them have, and it's because she provides great customer service. You know,
That's cool.
so
Hey, Jesse,
yeah,
this is Dan Adams. I just wanted to make two quick comments.
yeah, go ahead.
I had this instructor, and he said you're doing your 36 touches a year or so. So 4 of them are phone calls that you would make quarterly.
Yep.
So you would say to the person, hello, this is Dan Adams. You know the person, of course. You go, this is a business call. It's going to take about 60 seconds. I'm just reminding you that I'm in the real estate business, as you know, and I'm looking if you have any referrals or if you have any current need for my business. I'm here to help you, and you know, just we'll get together another time for more personal contact. But this is a business call. I'm literally going to make 40 phone calls in the next hour. So I just wanted to say hello and keep me in mind if you need me.
Yeah.
And boom, you're done and you're off to the next one. And then it's, you know, then it's just that touch base with those people you haven't talked to in a little while.
Mm.
And the second one you're talking about is the people that make the most money are the people that help other people the most, because it's directly related. You talk about Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates. I mean, they're rich people because they've helped millions of people. And in our business, it's the same way. The person that can sell a house a week, he's helping 52 people a year, and he's gonna help make more money because he's helping more people.
Yeah. Well, I would encourage you, you know, Dan, I appreciate those points. And with the first point of like, hey, this is a business call, the easiest person to make that call to is someone you have a relationship with, right? Like if we called our neighbor and we're like, hey, this is a business call, they'd be like, click, right? They're like, what is this? But, you know, if we have a relationship with that neighbor, like sometimes what I've done is literally when I was in production, I had 4 times a year that I would have a little competition with other agents or just myself. And I would call people and say, hey, today's call is about business. Do you have 60 seconds to help me with a problem? And they're like, yeah. You're like, great. Well, I'm in a competition to see, you know, who can get the most referrals for buyers or sellers of real estate. And I was curious who you might know that needs to buy or sell a home in the next few months. Now that comes from our class Bold, but I would literally just replicate that in my own contacts. And I would only do it for people that I knew were responsive. And what ended up happening was after a year or so, people would be like, oh, is this one of those competition calls? And they kind of liked it, you know? And I would call probably, I don't know, 50 people that day, you know, for the competition, maybe a little bit less. And invariably I would get, you know, 5, 6, 7 referrals. That's not a bad day, you know, but it's not beating people up with it all the time, right? Being like, hey, you know, every weekend you're in a competition. You're like, wait a minute, you're in a lot of competitions, but you know, just enough where, that I agree with you that that's a great way to be very efficient. If you have the relationship with the people. So that's good.
Okay.
Excellent. Back to you, Debbie.
Sorry, I don't have my little icons to raise
That's
my
okay.
hand.
That's fine.
What you were just mentioning about the competition, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier in the day. Like I had seen somewhere, but I don't remember where, like a letter that people were sending out that was talking about a competition for referrals, like just where, and I don't know if it's in like smart plans, just looking for specific things that can be used. Like I'm at the stage now where all the people that I'm close to that I would just call in general know I'm in real estate. So I'm kind of at the point where I need to start looking at like my Facebook friends, which they're friends, meaning I haven't talked to them since high school. And I just, you know, and I think what everyone was saying is you can go about it 2 ways. You can say, hey, how are you doing? Catching up. I don't feel comfortable doing that because where was I 5 years ago, 10 years ago? It's obvious that I'm reaching out because I'm now in real estate and I'm looking for
Is it?
referrals. So I feel like it is. To me, like it's so obvious. I would know
because
right
you're
away.
you.
20 years ago, reached out on Facebook what they were after. Like for me, I would just feel more comfortable saying, hey, this is what I'm doing now. If you know anyone looking to buy or sell, I'm available. Or the other thing, which is what my point was, you know, they talked a lot about in Mega Camp about like coming from contribution. I'd feel more comfortable saying, you know, do you want me to do a market analysis? Do you know, I'm available offering up a service, you know, as well as, you know, a referral. I just would feel more comfortable myself, just being more honest from the get-go, but offering up something. And that was the other thing, like, is there something that works for new agents, like that I could post on Facebook? Like, hey, does anybody want a CMA? Or, you know, I'm in a contest for referrals.
Yeah.
Just
so this is
things that have worked for other people.
Yes. What I'm sensing is, from what I think I'm picking up from you, is like, how do we stay true to ourselves and cut out the BS, right? And still get some results, right? So something I'm wondering is, there are a bunch of things I'm wondering is, one is, why are you Facebook friends with those people?
Why is anybody Facebook friends?
Exactly. Well, no, yeah, that's kind of a silly question. But like,
you know, I don't mind saying like, oh, it's so fun seeing your kids go back to school. They're getting so big, you know, things like that. But I wouldn't feel comfortable ending it there. I would feel like I would have to say, you know why I'm reaching out.
Okay,
I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
I don't mind asking, like what you were saying about asking, you know, people ask for donations, people ask for favors. I don't mind asking. I'm not asking them to buy Tupperware. You know, I'm just saying, hey, you know, if you know somebody, I'd love to help. Or if you're looking to move or buy, I'd love to help. I don't mind asking. What I mind is the sort of fake banter before that. Because to me, if somebody reached out to me from 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I would be like, I know that you're selling something. It's happened to me. You know,
Right.
and it's like, I know why you're reaching out.
So, Bridget, I'll get to you just a second here, but I'm wondering, I think this is a useful thing to be kind of going through from the mindset standpoint, because if we don't get our mindset right, like it's going to be really tough to take any action. So I think something to remember is, what would you respond to, right? Like taking a moment and saying like, what would I respond to? Now, I just did, because I work in recruiting for the office, I just did a texting blast to a bunch of people I've never met before. I've emailed them, all types of stuff, haven't responded, called them, haven't responded. So I tried texting them. And what I did was I made sure each text was personal in a way where I use their names, like, hey, good morning, Debbie, it's Jesse with Keller Williams. And it's like, you know, it's my job to connect with people. And I realize I haven't connected with you. And it finally just like sparked in my mind that I haven't sent you a message yet. Ha ha. This is literally what it said. And I said, you know, as a top agent in the state of Maine, do you know where you rank amongst other agents? Like I asked kind of like a leading question like that. So it was linked to what my purpose for, they know that I'm a recruiter and that's why I'm reaching out, is to like, I have an agenda. So it was almost like I was being self-aware about that agenda. You know what I mean? I got so many positive responses. It blew my mind. I was like, holy smokes. So sometimes that could even be an approach where like you cold message someone, you know, what's the term that all the kids are using now? Slide into their DMs, right? You know, slide into their direct message. So there's a way to do that in such a way that you could be self-aware and say, hey, I don't want to be that person that, you know, is from high school that's, you know, doing whatever. I don't want to, you know, pick on anybody in particular, but like, I'm really excited about my career. And if there's any way that I could be of service to you, just let me know, you know, and just be lighthearted about it, you know? So there could be ways to do that.
I sent out a couple of texts yesterday and just basically did that. I mean, I just,
Yeah.
you know, it was like, know well enough to say, you know, first day of school, kids, blah, blah, blah. And then I just said, you know, like, if you didn't know from my millions of Facebook posts and my picture changes and blah, 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 like, I'm in real estate now. Because I do feel like most people do know, but I also feel like it would help to reach out to those people on Facebook that,
yes,
you know, because you don't always see everyone's things on Facebook either. Like they may never see anything, even though we're friends.
Yes.
So okay, thanks, that helps. I just
Yeah.
kind of getting a mixed, you know, I felt like especially from Mega Camp, it was just a constant emphasis on care calls.
Yeah.
And like for myself, I just don't think that that is the way that I would feel comfortable going about it for somebody that I don't, you know, because I have never done it in 20 years. Why would I?
Right.
But they're good sources of leads if they're local, if they're.
Yeah. Well, one last point on this, then we're gonna, oh, sorry, I see a hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't said anything. Hey, Debbie. So I just wanted to say, there's so much information that we get from these classes and kind of like going to, you know, Keller Williams and the Mega Camp or that you just went through. And I think that it's our job to kind of take in what we need to succeed and kind of like, because there's so much coming at us all at once, and be yourself, do what works for you. Honestly, if you didn't like doing, you know, the calls, do what works for you and don't care what people think about you, because they're going to, it sounds like you're worried about what people are going to think. The truth is we're realtors. We're here to make a career out of it, to make money. It is what it is. You know, you can't sugarcoat it. So just go for it. Stop caring what they stop caring what they think.
I love that. Yeah.
Just do it.
like Nike. Well, and remember too, like I love that so much because like people say that I'm quite a goofball, right? I'm like, I like to joke around and stuff like that. That's part of my brand too. Like Anne was like, hey, you should send out this like introduction video of you. And I like recorded a couple. I was like, these are lame. I was like, I need to make them fun. So I like did some fun stuff with them and like made a GIF and everything like that. And like got a ton of good responses because people are like, yeah, that's authentic. You know, it's like, it's a real deal. And I even said like, hey, you know, my name's Jesse. I'm the director of growth over at Keller Williams. That means I'm a recruiter, you know, and it's in the video. But something I was going to show, if you guys can still see my screen, is if you want a cool tool, you can utilize, oh, it's not coming up now because it's hidden here, is, I think it's called, yeah, loom.com. And this way you can actually record videos. So this is one of my libraries here. You can record videos like a message that is either generic, so you don't say someone's name, or you say their name. And when you send them the link, they can click on it and it will tell you like how many people viewed it and how much they watched and all this stuff. And people can leave comments and stuff like that. And so I was doing some testing with this. And when you send it to certain phones, particularly on iMessage through the iPhone, it will actually show like a little GIF of it playing. It's like, like you moving. And so it like encourages people to click. It's pretty cool. There's a free version and there's a paid version for like a couple bucks a month. And that is super helpful because like sometimes I don't want to send a video message from iPhone to Android or Android to iPhone because it will get all grainy and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily want to have to upload something to YouTube and be annoying, but Loom literally has an app. I just record it and send people the link and people open. That's super fun. So, and you can, you know, obviously delete them or make them private and, you know, just send it to one person. Whoever has the link can view it. So you can put that in an email, you put it in a text message, whatever, just to engage with people. So I find that to be fun. All right. So we have basically 30-ish minutes left together, and we have, you know, a variety of things that we can cover. But I want to go to one of the activities. And this is a great thing that's been in Ignite in all the different iterations that we've had. And the 10, 10, 10, 10. So this is a good goal. It literally says goals to set your career on fire. And the idea being, what can you do to add 10 contacts to your database per day, have 10 conversations about real estate per day, send out 10 handwritten notes in a day, and then preview 10 homes per week. That one's a little bit tough right now with inventory being low and stuff moving so quickly. But even if you just did the first 3 and were focused on that for a month, that would put you into the momentum phase. You know, you would go from, you know, wobbling around and feeling uncertain to actually getting some momentum behind you and getting referrals coming in automatically. So, you know, even if you do this for a month, what is that? 300 contacts in a month. That'd be a pretty decent sized database at the end of the month. And you know, if you could, even if you only did that 5 days a week, that's still 200 contacts in a month added to the database in 200 conversations. That would launch you into the stratosphere of business. So this is a little bit more of a practical step-by-step activity continuum to work with. I'm just looking here, a little bit more of what is left for today is scripting and dialogue, but I think we are going to move into just a general Q&A time. And if you would like to dig into scripts, because with my luck, I will get stuck on that for 2 hours and not let you guys go. So you can come back tomorrow and connect with Anne to go through the language real estate. But let's just open it up for general Q&A right now in regard to lead generation or anything that we covered today or discussed. And if we happen to end a little bit early, we can do that. I have a couple final things I'd like to share, but Any clarification we need, anything we covered today, or any general thoughts or anything that you guys want to cover? Well, I don't think my sound is working because I can't hear everybody talking. I guess that's, I'm just teasing. So let's say, why don't we put in the chat a lead generation strategy that you're willing to implement in the month of September. We don't have to say to what capacity. We don't have to make some specific commitment to the idea of what the results will be. But based on the ideas that we talked about, what is something that you want to tackle this month? I'm going to say shooting again, or more shooting. Door knocking, handwritten cards. Yeah. Ooh, we got 2 door knockings. This is exciting. Mailers. So what type of phone calls, Emily? We haven't heard from you today. Tell us.
So I just need to get back into command and reach out to everybody that I haven't in a little bit and let them know that I'm still in real estate and that kids are back in school and it's time to get this going again.
Yeah. So what's a message that you would want to convey to those people?
I basically, so I, you can get in your own head and get nervous about calling people, but the main thing I do, my main goal when I call somebody is just to find out how they're doing and ask a lot of questions and, just make them feel like I care because I do care. And if it comes up, if real estate comes up, then it comes up. And if it doesn't, then at least I made their day a little bit better.
Yeah. No harm there, right? It's like,
oh yeah.
It's so nice. Yeah. And I think going back to the care call idea is sometimes it's just nice to hear from people we haven't heard from in a while. And I think that's oftentimes a shame that it's like, we're like, oh, I don't want to call that person because I haven't talked to them in 5 years. It's like, oh my God, call them. You know what I mean? Like there's a past client that I kept wanting to reach out to because I liked them so much, but I kept feeling bad because I kept letting time go by because I didn't talk to them. And finally they reached out to me and we were both like, oh, I miss you so much. I don't know, it was just like, hey, this is good. And one of their questions was, are you still in real estate? And I was like, oh my gosh, I have failed as a real estate agent.
You think they're going to be bothered, but they're never bothered. They're always
No.
happy to hear from you.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's so true. You're like, people, I've often heard that me as a high D on the DISC scale, one of the number one things that I've gotten for feedback with my client surveys is that I've sent after the fact is they've often said that I fell off the face of the earth after closing happened. And we go from having this great relationship and talking to each other multiple times a day, texting all the time and sending memes to each other and all this stuff. And all of a sudden closing happens. And it's like, all right, well, see ya. And as a high D on the DISC with no S, I have to literally turn it into a system where I'm like, oh yeah, I need to remember to talk to these people and continue the relationship. And yeah, people love that. So I actually have been, if we all know what memes are, I actually have a couple of memes saved in my phone for birthdays and for, if you're my friend on Facebook, you've gotten my birthday meme, I think. I have one that I send to everybody. And then one is I haven't talked to you in a while. So it's like, hey, I miss you type of thing. And I send that to people, I'll just send it to people randomly that I think about and then wait for them to respond. And then we'll kick off the conversation. Because sometimes I don't know what to say. So just let them start the conversation. No harm there. So what else do we have? Any closing thoughts? Anybody wants to share? Ann, do you have any nuggets that we should, or bombs to drop or anything?
Just takes me 5 minutes to unmute. No, hey, everybody, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow when we talk about language. I mean, today was about lead generation. That's where it all starts. And then the conversations that you have with people, part of that's lead generation and part of that falls into after you've generated the lead, what the heck do you say to them? So, and then once you turn a lead into a contact or a client, what do you say to them? Once you, you know, are working to get them under contract, what are what's the language you use? So, you know, your language is really one of the most important parts of your business. And I can't wait to dig into that a little bit tomorrow. And then later on in Ignite, when you're sort of in the advanced section towards the end of the month, they're going to talk about language again on a different level. So just trust the process of Ignite, because it walks you through step by step, and you probably will all want it all at once. And, you know, there's a method to this madness. So Jesse is a lead generation master, and I think it was really great to hear a lot of his ideas today.
That's good. Yeah, I think we take this all one step at a time, and you know, success is what's the term? Success is sequential, not simultaneous. That's what it is. Wait, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't
I
happen
would
all
say
at once.
success happens slowly and then suddenly.
Yes, that's good.
Right now,
Well,
we're all probably in the slowly bit, and that's okay. You know, one bite at a time is all you can do, and you can take Ignite as many times as you want to. Don't just take it once and stop. I mean, we've got people on here that have been in the business quite a while, that have a bunch of transactions under the belt, and then we have people that are right straight out of the chute. So there's something in here for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, that is good. Well, I will give permission for anybody, if anybody wants to sign off. No harm there. If you guys want to get going, we, you know, give you 24 minutes of your day back. If anybody would like to stay on and chat about anything extra, you can do that. I'm going to put my information in the chat in case you want to reach out to me after the fact. You're welcome to do that.
I had a quick question for you, Jesse. I just was wondering what you guys might suggest for that conversation, being a brand new agent, with the first sort of leads and, you know, kind of the first conversations that you're having. Is there anything you suggest in terms of breaking the ice for that conversation about the fact that you are a brand new agent?
Yeah. So what would be helpful is, do you have a particular scenario in mind that you're thinking of?
Yeah, well, just you know, say if someone brought up the fact that you were a brand new agent, obviously you just don't want that to hinder your ability to you know, help your customer in that situation or client.
Yeah. You know, I think it's so funny because I've been to all these script classes over the years, and it's like you hear all the spin doctors, you know, like, man, like, if you ever hear that, like sometimes you hear that in the news, or unfortunately from the White House, from either party, it's like they'll, you know, a reporter will bring up something to challenge the press secretary, and they spin it, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're so smart, and you just avoided the question. You know, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
But one way to do it in an authentic and true way as a newer agent is to kind of latch onto the honesty parts. Like, you know, first of all, I wouldn't go around telling people, being like, hey, I'm new, or if like a buyer lead comes to you, you're like, hey, I'm new. There's no reason to really bring that up. Or you go to meet with a seller, there's no reason to bring it up. You're a real estate professional. You have a license, you're qualified, and you have a team of people around you to help support you. But something I would say is, if anyone ever questions it, you can say, this is a little bit of a spin, but it's also true, is, hey, you know, I appreciate that, that you may have concern that I'm new. And let me ask you, would you rather work with someone that has 100 clients and is only giving you 1% of their attention, or someone with just a couple clients and giving you 30, 40, 50, 100% of their attention? You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'd rather have more attention. You know, do you think, you know, even being a little bit transparent, saying like, hey, you know, I'm really eager to prove to you the quality of my brokerage, the quality of my service, and I'm going to go above and beyond in this transaction, because impressing you means I get to meet your friends and get referrals, and I'm all about that, you know? So I think
Yeah.
those are types of things that I would say to people and got positive responses, you know? Even as a experienced agent myself, there are so many things that I don't know about the law or various aspects that I have to go to another seasoned agent and get help with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know enough to do the job and provide good customer service. You understand what that takes. You can do that.
Right.
So I would say, if anything, you can almost play it off as a strength. And
Okay.
Can I
Yeah.
add something to this
Yeah.
to as well? Because so in the area that I live in, it's most people know who I am. So the fact that I'm new is very common knowledge. So pretending that I'm not new would not really look very good for me. And so what I've used a lot, because it's come up, is like I'll literally hold my phone up and I'll say, I have a full team in my back pocket. I have, coaches and I have mentors and everyone. So if there is something I come across that is something I don't know how to do, I have so many people that I can reach out to immediately that are eager to help me. And they have, 20 plus years of experience each. And that has, most people, once they hear that, they're like, oh, okay. Because we all have the same thing, resources we can go to, whether you've been doing this one day or 40 years. Don't all know the answers because it's a very different market every single day. So in my short experience, anyone who's questioned my newness I have not gone on a listing appointment yet and not gotten it for that reason. That's just not happened. So I would just encourage you to not be nervous about that, because you've got the resources and that's what people care about.
Well, remember too, a professional isn't necessarily someone that knows the answer to everything, but they know where to get the answer. Yeah. People love that, love that honesty. It's like, hey, I don't know everything, but I promise you that I'll get you the answer. That's what you want.
That's the answer right there, Jesse. I think back when I was brand new, and I mean, I don't even think Google was invented. No, I'm just kidding. I think it was, but I mean, we were still faxing offers. We didn't have scanners back when that's how old I am. But I would just say to people, look, that I'm brand new because you've known me forever. So I'm not going to try to pretend that I've got all this real estate experience. However, I will tell you that I'm wicked smart and I'm a good researcher. And I'm not going to lie. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you I don't know the answer. And then I'm going to go find it. And just like super transparent, like don't try to have an ego. So that's what I did. And it kind of paid off.
Yeah.
And you do, Cam, you're surrounded by, you've got Stephen and you've got me and you've got Jesse and Bethany and you've got all these people up here in Maine that are right there to answer all your questions.
And in 17 years in the salon industry, if you think I knew how to do everything just because I was there for that long, I certainly didn't. Someone would sit in my chair and they'd say, I want XYZ. And I'd say, you know what? I need to go talk to some of my coworkers because I'm not positive what formulation to put on your hair. I think that was a lot better than if I had been like, okay, let me guess real quick.
Oh no.
Right.
I can imagine
that's
that
very
going
true.
poorly. Yeah. That's good. Excellent. Anybody else have any questions or thoughts? Anything burning?
Yeah, real quick, Jesse. This is Krishan again.
Hey.
Hey, so I know we talked about it before. I just want to brush up on it real quick. So, like everyone said, so I'm a brand new agent as well. I just got out of high school last year, 2020. So now this is what I want to do. I wanted to build my own business, and real estate sounded really cool to me. So right now, what's like the perfect, not like perfect, but what's a really good tip to like, because I go on showings and everything. I show people some houses and everything, and then sometimes they either go away or they like ghost me or something like that after, and I don't know if that's either if I'm doing something wrong or if it's because of like my age or the way I look or something, like just because I look really young.
I would say from the mindset standpoint is don't worry about being young or having that appearance. I think, or the appearance of being young. I think something that you can remember is people care about the service that you provide and your professionalism and your capacity. And I think just showcasing that to people, and something that you'll need to grasp as you continue to grow in real estate is the ability to lead people through the process, right? And I remember the first sales job I had was at a car dealership, and they made this example of how to take control of a situation with body language. What they would do is we would be out like looking at the cars and role playing, and one of the guys would say, "All right, follow me," and he would turn and start walking away, not going anywhere in particular, but it was a way of him gaining control of the scenario. Now I'm not saying that you should do that in real estate, as much as saying when we guide people through the process, it builds a level of confidence they will have in you as a salesperson, and saying like, "Oh yeah, like you're the boss, like you're the professional, you're the one that knows what they're doing." And I think what you should remember in your mind is what our goal should be when we're out showing a buyer a house or meeting a buyer at an open house or connecting with a seller is we want to get a signed contract, right?
Yeah.
To tie them to us, to have a relationship, and then continue to provide that level of service. So that will help diminish the people that are ghosting you or not following up or that are concerned, because if you have a level of assurance in what the process is, and this will help, like coaching and training and going to Ignite will help you build that competence and confidence, you'll see that happen less and less. So, and just to circle back to the beginning, what I said is it shouldn't have anything to do with your age. Like there's a guy that I know over in the Concord office. He seriously looks like he's 12. And I think he's already closed like 30 something deals this year. Like he seriously is, I think he's right out of high school himself, maybe 18, 19, but just like very young face, clean complexion, super nice guy, but he's a professional, knows what he's doing. And I would encourage you there that you shouldn't be discounted for your age at all. So
that's what I was thinking. Like tomorrow's class, he says all language, also write the language of real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be a perfect class.
Yes, absolutely. So, and I would say one last thing about the age thing, just because someone's 55 years old does not make them a professional, right?
Yeah, I understand that, but I feel like the things that come to like when people are looking at it, it's like, yeah, if let's say someone's in the game at 18 and someone's in the game of 40, sometimes people mostly go with like the 40-year-old just because they look. Oh, that's just what I've seen the past couple months.
Could be the case. And you know what, man, it's up to you to prove them wrong. So I believe in you. I think you can do it, because other people have done that before you, and I definitely believe you can do it. So just to encourage you there. And I put my number and email in the chat, Krishan. So if you ever want to reach out and have a further conversation about it, I'd be happy to help you and encourage you. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Jesse.
Awesome. Excellent. Anything else before we sign off? Anybody?
Just one thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm having a hard time with the CMA because my husband is an investor and he will be my first client, but I don't know how to help him because I know investor CMA is different from regular clients. And I don't know where to get the help so I can find as soon as possible. So
and what do you think about that? Because I've honestly, out of the hundreds of homes I've sold, I've never once done a CMA.
Yeah.
Really bad.
So I mean,
I'm not sure.
Lourdes, are you in a productivity coaching program in your market center?
Yeah, he already showed, but I really need a few more times because we need a group shot. It's different, when it's just one person consistently, you know what I mean? And I don't have a mentor, so it's really hard.
I mean, we're in Maine. I don't know what you've got in Rhode Island. We've got Flex MLS. What do you have? What kind of MLS do you have?
Well, we have MLS, but the next class they have available is on the 21st. Yeah, I really would like
they
to
don't
get
have
opportunity.
They don't have a recorded class.
I found one in YouTube, but it's too fast the way he speaks, and for me to practice and look to the video is not good, you know what I mean?
You know, I would reach out to your coach in the market center and your productivity coach or tech trainer in the market center and see if they can sit with you and do, walk you through your first CMA one-on-one, maybe, or maybe somebody from the ALC. Because, part of the ALC's job is to help new agents with whatever they need. So they should be available to you too. And, maybe if somebody sat with you for your first one, that would make it easier to really understand it.
Yeah, because I think I spend too much time the way I do it. Yeah, I know they have a quick way to do it. So that's what I'm trying to see if I could do something for this week for my husband, but it's not easy.
I think our MLS has recorded, sessions on how to do a CMA. So maybe if you look within your MLS, there are some recorded videos.
Lourdes, where are you located?
I'm in Rhode Island, East Providence.
Okay, if you want to drive out to Worcester, I speak Portuguese. I'll be happy to help you with that.
Where are you located?
I'm in Worcester, in central Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe by Zoom.
Yeah, Zooming will be great. I can put my information in the message.
Thank you, Lucretia. That's really nice.
Thank you so much.
KW does. We help each other. That's KW culture right there, guys.
Yeah, I love that. Isabel, I saw you had your hand up.
I also had the question about the CMAs.
Yeah.
So I would contact my productivity coach, right? I should send her a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would probably be able to help direct you, to someone that could help. Yeah, that would probably be the easiest thing, because I mean, each of our MLSs are unique. It's like, oh man, like how do you get the data? Interpreting the data is one thing, but like how do you get it and compile it is sometimes tricky. And that's honestly why I've never actually done one, is because I found in the New Hampshire MLS where I was, it was so cumbersome that it was difficult to actually put it together.
Right.
So I was like, so I kind of went a different way.
No, and I also wanted to comment about that young kid that said that he's too young, real estate agent. He said something about being 55. I just turned 55. I have a lot of social work experience, but no real estate experience.
Yeah.
So what I tend to tell my potential clients is, I'm an experienced social worker. I can help you, meet your needs by reaching out to more experienced real estate agents.
Well, remember too, to leverage what you did in the past, like, you say, hey, I'm really skilled in this area. And so I'm going to be good at communicating with you. I'm going to be good at understanding your needs, interpreting those needs, and helping reach them. From a social work standpoint, someone could be a process engineer and say, hey, I'm coming from the process engineer space, and I know how to follow a system and be precise and all this. So you can pull out from your previous experience those strengths and 100% relate them to what we're doing.
Yes, exactly. That's what I plan to do.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing.
Okay.
All right, last call for anybody. Everybody good? All right. Well, we will put, I think we'll be able to access the recording. I think I'm able to see it in Zoom now. So I guess we'll get that onto the Facebook page. So if you need to go back through and watch anything or engage with anything, you can do that. And we'll be in touch. So you guys have a great one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
See y'all tomorrow.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.